All right, everybody, welcome back to the podcast. We are going to continue with our series on creating space. So, I want to ask you a question today, and I don't want you to answer what you wish was true, but answer honestly. If I were to look at your calendar, your actual calendar on your phone or your paper, wherever you have it, could I accurately predict your priorities? Not what you value, not what you believe, not what you hope, but what actually gets your time. Would your calendar reflect your priorities? Because lots of times I've looked at my calendar and it does not tell the truth of what my priorities are. Unfortunately, it is the truth. Like that is what's getting my priority. That is what's getting my time, even though sometimes it's not my intention and it's not what I want and it's not my vision, but it's what is, right? It's the accurate depiction of what I'm spending my time on. And so I want to know, if I looked at your calendar, what would it show me? And if you look at your calendar, what is it showing you? Okay. Who's coming first, right? Is it all work commitments? Is it all kid commitments? Is it all whatever? Is it your health? Okay. And I'm not like, there's lots of things that are needed and our kids are important and our job is important, but everything can't come first. And if all those things are trying to come first, that's really not leaving a lot of room for us. Our health does not belong in like the scraps of time left over after everyone else's needs are met. Okay. So I don't know about your family. Um, I just think August like gets to be very loud. And I think there's lots of extra commitments on the table. I think we are lulled into this like false sense of a new routine that's going to be perfect, like we've talked about. But there really is a lot to do in August. And so it can feel like life has turned up the volume. Teacher emails, sports registration, physicals, haircuts, lunches. Work seems to get really busy. Like everyone's back from summer vacation and now everybody, like everything that kind of got postponed all summer, like now we got to have lots of meetings about it. And I know like conference schedules start speeding back up. And so there's a lot in August. And schedules are forming. So they're not perfect and they're having like we're having to make some adjustments to those. But it just feels like a lot of responsibility and new things to think about. Remember, our brain does not like new. It is hard for our brain to do new. It likes routine and it likes things on autopilot. And so when we have all these new things happening in August, it's a lot of mental energy. And so it just feels like a lot, okay? And so I bring this up because I often find that sort of the louder life is, the quieter health is. So when everything gets loud and it feels like there's so much to do, like the walk gets pushed, like I'll walk later, or I'll just grab takeout today because it's so busy. I'll meal prep later, or I'll figure that out like when XYZ settles down, right? Which we know nothing ever settles down. But work doesn't settle down, kids don't settle down, sports don't settle down. Life does not magically become easier. It just becomes a different version of busy. And I think August just highlights that. And I think the reason I think August highlights this too is because it just feels like there's this big um, push, like almost like a speed train to the end of the year that starts in August. And I think school starting is just part, like it kind of just adds fuel to the fire. So even if like you don't have kids in school, like school's not starting for you, there's still this like weird thing that happens in August where everyone's sort of speeding us toward the end of the year instead of just being able to sit in August and just be able to be present in August. And so while we're doing that and being present, that's why I want you to look at your calendar and say, like, let's say I'm being fully present in August. What does that look like? What does that mean? So if you had to give someone your calendar, what would they know about you? Could they tell that like exercise and being healthy and meal prep and nutrition is important to you? Or would they think like only work is important, or like the kids are taking all of your time? Like, what would they notice about you? And this is not meant to be like a guilt exercise. Okay. So there's like no shame, no guilt, no judgment here, because my calendar does not always reflect what I feel is important in my heart either. But I'm saying, like, does your calendar reflect that you matter and your health matters? So I'm not saying our calendar needs to say like the gym every morning and like perfect meal prep every Sunday and perfect routines, but like, is there any white space in there at all? Like, is there any free time? Is it like, do we have lunch blocked, or are we having meetings all the way through lunch? Is there a bedtime, or are we having super late meetings? Is there any room, any space at all, any workout, anything? Because all those things count, right? Like, I actually read something where people do like 45-minute meetings instead of an hour, just to leave that 15 minutes of space, right? It's genius, right? People can like think about what happened in the meeting, make a to-do list, go to the bathroom, get a drink of water, walk around their desk, do 5 air squats, and sort of refresh and be ready for the next meeting, as opposed to these back to back to back to back. Right. So that's what I'm talking. I'm not saying like we need 2 hour workouts every morning on our calendar, but are there 15-minute breaks where we can like get up and use the restroom? Like, can we refill our water bottle? Is there a lunch break? Okay. So I want you to just think about that a little bit, because I do think sometimes we have these weird rules or habits that thinking like only huge blocks of time matter. And that's really not true. Like, maybe we can't find an hour every day to exercise, but can we end a meeting 15 minutes early? Can we get 15 minutes? Can we get 10 minutes? Okay. I think there's lots of reasons that we don't do this, right? Where we don't make health feel urgent, right? Health is never urgent until it is urgent, right? Like, our blood pressure is fine until it's not, or our diabetes is like, we don't have it and then we have it and now it's important, or weight gain, right? Like, we don't get on the scale for a while. And so it's this idea of like, it's quiet until it's not. And so those things don't feel urgent, but then when they are urgent, they're like dangerously urgent sometimes. Whereas the emails always feel urgent, and maybe they're not. Or practice, like going to every practice, like feels really urgent. But is it really? Like, if we didn't go, is it going to be life threatening? Like, if we don't take care of our blood pressure, like that could be life threatening. Like, getting that birthday gift feels really urgent, but is it worth the sacrifice of our health? So I just want you to see that juxtaposition, where our health does not feel urgent while in the day to day, but ignored can become life threateningly urgent. Whereas all of these other little tasks like email and um, practices and birthday gifts and all those things feel very urgent. But the fact of the matter is, if we ignored them, they are like not going to be life threatening. Okay, so just think about that a little bit. Like, not eating our protein right now doesn't feel urgent, but if we have muscle wasting and we fall and break a hip, guess what? Now it's urgent. Okay, like drinking water doesn't feel urgent until we're dehydrated and have kidney failure and like need to go on dialysis. Okay, I'm giving very extreme examples just to prove the point. But health does not feel urgent, but when it is, it can be very dangerously urgent. Whereas all these to do things, all these minor tasks feel urgent in the moment. And I'm just suggesting maybe they're not. And that maybe We need to just keep that in mind when we are creating our schedules. Okay. I think decision fatigue comes into play here just a little bit as well. Um, I know this was a cause sometimes of my not eating healthy at night was this decision fatigue. And I see it in women I coach all the time. But by 5 p.m., we've made like hundreds of decisions, right? Like what to wear, what to answer, what to email, who needs what, dinner, homework, all the things. And then our brain is kind of tired. And then it gets really difficult to make easy decisions. And so that's not being lazy. It's just neuroscience, right? That just is how it is. But it's just one of these things that I see why health loses, right? So I'm just giving examples of why health gets put on the back burner. So the first one is that it doesn't feel urgent. The second one is we kind of just have decision fatigue by the end of the day. And so like when it's tired, like our brain's tired, we don't necessarily want to make good food decisions or go for that walk or drink the extra cup of water because those easy decisions that shouldn't feel hard do. And that just is. Another reason is like the fantasy scheduling that we've talked about, right? Imaginary Stacy has got so much free time. Like she gets up early and exercises and like has coffee outside and reads and enjoys nature and meal preps and makes I've already told you I make these beautiful school lunches with like little notes for the kids and like never forgets anything and checks her email and always answers texts right away. Like that girl does not exist. That is not me. Okay. Real me, like, has unexpected things come up, like, has things I have to go, like, sometimes I get called from the hospital, like, I'm on call all the time, right? Things come up. Kids get sick. We have travel. Life's. Like, I forget to order the school lunch, whatever it is. And so this imaginary schedule where I have all this free time can just get me in trouble. And that is why my health can fall to the back, right? To the end. So I just think personally, I do these episodes sometimes for myself, but August can do this to me all the time because I do love fantasy Stacy and like her fantasy world where it's like Pinterest lovely and like everything gets done and like I get to do all this exercise and that doesn't exist because then I've also got like the Stacy that says yes to things like we did on our last episode. And I've got Stacy that like doesn't leave margins for error. And so when there is extra stuff that comes up, like things start to unravel. So my calendar does not represent what's important and can get overbooked very easy. And so when I look at it and see that there's no white space, I know that I'm so far from my aspirational calendar, um, and I don't like it, right? It's not how I want it to be. But when I see my calendar, I see a lot on there. Okay. And so when I'm trying to fit health in second, there's never going to be room. Okay. Health has to go first. So I want you to just, the distinction here is leftover space versus protected space. Most of us are creating calendars and scheduling everything in and then looking for leftover space for ourselves. Whether that's exercising, getting a massage, getting your hair done, like whatever it is. We have this, we're looking to cram all that into our leftover space versus creating protected space. Okay. Like we went through health loses for a number of reasons, but one of them is this that we're not giving it protected space, right? We are trying to cram it all into this leftover space, but that leftover space is always going to get filled with other things. Always. Someone's going to get sick. A meeting's going to run late. There's going to be traffic. They're doing road work in our neighborhood. It took me 15 minutes to get out of the neighborhood. Normally it takes 5, right? things are going to happen, unexpected phone calls. Protected space is exactly what it sounds like. It's a priority. It's protected. It's something that becomes more non-negotiable than this leftover space that's going to get sucked up. In the same vein, we still need to leave leftover space. A lot of us are not good at doing that, right? We don't leave any white space on our calendar. So creating protected space becomes important for multiple reasons. But we also, like, that's not to say write it down, protect it, and then we don't have to worry about any leftover space. Like, we want the leftover space too. Okay. When we wake up on a Tuesday and like we know we have like the same work meeting every Tuesday or whatever, we don't think like, should I do that? Like, it's on there. We know we're going to do it. It becomes more non-negotiable when we write it down and we protect the space. Okay. So the more decisions we can eliminate, the more apt we are to do it, right? Decision fatigue. So if we've put it on our calendar first, we've protected that space, it's a decision we don't have to make anymore. It's also something we can visually see. So if someone asks us to do something, we say no, like I'm scheduled for something already. We don't have to tell them what, right? Nope, can't do it that day. I've got something scheduled. So it's protected. It makes it easier to say no when someone tries to steal that time. And then it gives us just a little bit more sense of urgency. Like, it locks it in place if you write it down. Okay. So we don't have to spend a lot of energy thinking about it. It's already there. It's why, the story about my friend who's like does all of her exercise classes for the month and then puts them on the family calendar. Like, it's there. It's non-negotiable. There's nothing to think about it. Things get scheduled around it, and it's protected space. So great, right? This is why, like, being consistent isn't really about motivation. Okay. It's about reducing negotiations. It's about taking away all of the like Jedi mind tricks that your brain's going to try and do to have you not do something new and difficult and scary, right? So when we know we're motivated, we do a lot of things. But when we can protect our space, and it's on there and it's on our calendar and it's not negotiable and everyone knows about it, was even more helpful. It lets us say no to other things. It lets us just put ourselves first. So I'm encouraging you to build your calendar around what matters, right? We started by saying, like, would your calendar reflect it? If you are important, and you are, right? You need to be on your calendar first. And what is important is your health, to make sure that so that your health doesn't become an urgent emergency, right? Protect that space on your calendar. And I don't want you to leave thinking like, I have to redesign my whole life, right? I just want you to choose like one thing this week. One walk, one lunch, one early bedtime, one grocery trip, one, okay? And then protect it. Protect it with everything you've got. Okay. So just practice one. And it's going to be interesting because you're going to notice how often life is going to life and try and steal that time from you. So I'm not saying like every day put 2 hours of protected time for you, although that would be lovely and glorious if you could. I'm saying like one thing this week, one thing, one early bedtime, one walk, one lunch, one something. Protect it and notice how life tries to steal that time from you. Okay? Notice when your brain tries to negotiate that time away from you. Notice what thoughts come up about that time and its importance. All right? Is your brain trying to tell you it's not that important because it's your time? So I just write one thing, protect it with your life, and then notice everything that comes up around it. Okay. And how difficult it is to keep that time for your health, even if you schedule it first. Because I just want that awareness to come so that you can see like when it is time to like make your schedule for the week after or even the month after, like when September comes, like realistic calendaring is important, not aspirational calendaring. So if you're like, wow, I tried to block an hour on a Wednesday and it was really, really difficult. And it turns out, like, after life lifed and everyone tried to steal it, I really could only get 30 minutes, or I could 20 minutes, or 15 minutes, whatever it is. Then we know for September, like, I'm going to block 15 minutes. And somewhere in the back of our head, we're like, we really want an hour. So that 15 minutes becomes more non negotiable, which is lovely. Okay. But just notice. So, one thing, one lunch, one meal prep, one exercise, one whatever's important, whatever you're working on this week, this month for your health, it might just be like, hey, I'm going to block time to refill my water bottle and drink. Or like maybe I'm going to have a cup of coffee outside before I start work. Like one thing, write it down, protect it, and then notice all the things that happen around it so that you're better prepared for September when maybe you want to start adding that in a little bit more. Okay, we're doing this in the membership. You guys know, come in there if you haven't. All right, come try it for a month. But we are going to sit down with our calendar, with our real life, and see what happens when we try and do this, and then do a lot of um, obstacle negotiations and real life, like brainstorm together how we can make these things work easier for us. So, just one final thought. Okay. Your calendar is not just your schedule, it is a story about what's important and what gets protected. And so, most of us are not on there. And it's not because we don't care or we're lazy or we're not motivated. It's because we're just used to protecting everyone else's space and doing and making what we have to do or what we have to serve and like for everyone else be more important. And then we'll just like squeeze our stuff in later. And so later rarely comes. And so then we think consistency is an us problem, but it's really a priority and like a protected time problem. So protect one thing this week, make one small promise to yourself, and keep it. All right. I'll talk to you next week. Thanks, guys. Bye.